Okay, here we are with the offensive side of this little class that we're having on how not to lose terribly at coach mode with Madden 24. So if you're a part of the PFL and you're miserable having 3 and 14 or 4 and 13 seasons and you want to get that improved, we're going to try to help you do that here. And believe me, guys, I'm one of them that needs help. So the first screen here, Mike, since you're the expert on this, talk about where you should kick, where this meter is, left, right, up, down. Fill us in on that.
Well, kickoffs, I don't really mess around with it. I try to kick it out of the end zone. Two reasons. I don't want to have a run back if I can help it. And the second reason is your kicker gets more XP if he does a touchback, which, whatever. You know what I mean? But
Right.
so my goal on this is to get as close to the white line on the top, but not go over it, and then try to get it as close to the black bar on the bottom where the A is right now to get the best possible kick. Some stadiums, I found that Dallas is, stadium, the ball doesn't go as far in that stadium for some reason. And unless you hit it perfectly, a lot of times you will get returns. I think it's based on the stadium. I could be wrong. Who knows sometimes with what Madden does. But if you go over the top, or I've watched people do this constantly, they try to time it as best to the red bar on top, and they'll miss, and then the bar just automatically comes down. And if you click it when you think you should on the way back down, you'll end up with one of those kick out of bounds, where you get the penalty.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I try to make it as simple as I can, because that's the worst thing to do is have a kick out of bounds.
Yep, without a doubt. Okay, punting here. You say the backspin, because I was having trouble. I know to highlight this backspin, but
Right.
I'm having trouble getting it to actually backspin when he kicks it.
No, something's not right there. If you push it down to the backspin, and you kick it, regularly, it should come back, but it sometimes can skip and go into the end zone if it gets too far in. But I'm a big backspin guy, and I'm pretty successful with it. So I don't have much of a problem. I used to, like Mike said, I was having problems. I was going past the white bar, and then you have some really bad punts. But if I come underneath the white bar, and then I'm in pretty good shape for kicking the backspins.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done it both ways. I try to angle it out of bounds, so you move the white line, the angle line all the way to the right, try to nail it into the 1 yard, or
Right.
That's another way to go about it.
Right.
You can control it more. You don't have to worry about backspin.
Right.
Because I've had a backspin where I landed it like the 4 or the 3,
Yeah, it went back
and
to the
it bumped
20.
all the way up to the 20. So
Sucks.
Right.
yeah, so
Well,
that never happened in Madden 22,
No,
but
it
it's been
didn't.
happening in Madden 23 a few times here and there. So
Right. Now, just to highlight something there, because I know some guys have really been upset about this. If you're going up against a guy who does backspins, and you know that you're not gonna return this punt much anyway. I mean, what I've been doing is I've been actually going with prevent defense, man to man, and dropping the guys back, and then having them drop back. And what that does is, believe it or not, they actually do return the punts for me sometimes. They won't go very far, but I don't get killed with the backspin, because the backspin, sometimes what'll happen is it'll hit and it'll come back and hit one of your players in the backside. It's a fumble. So the guys have had a problem with that. If you're going to get in a situation where a guy's kicking, like say from the 50, somewhere around there, well, he's going to get that ball inside the 10. And you do a regular punt return there.
yeah, there's no reason to.
Yeah, don't do it. Okay.
Well, it's like, the logic is from say the opponent's 45, he's kicking from his 45. There's a high percentage chance that he's going to get it to the 10, so you'll return it. You get it to the 50, to the 42, 41. Yeah, you got to watch the backspin. Once
Right.
inside the 40, most probably he's going to go for it because he can on 4th down.
Right.
So, unless he's he's got the field goal down, and maybe he'll kick a really long field goal. But most guys will go for it between the 40 to the 30. Well, yeah, in that range they'll go for. I know I will. I won't kick a field goal unless I'm sitting inside at the 30 or closer.
Right. Yeah, I've learned that it's difficult. Okay, coach adjustments for offense. Offense.
All right. So here, in the old versions, and so this is kind of an important thing, by the way. We used to be able to put, like, say, the deep pass catching on aggressive and the enemy, and then a lot of, they put on different things. What happens in this version, if you put it on, what is it, Mike? Is it conservative? Yeah.
Yes.
If you put your pass catching on, because I was having all types of problems at the beginning of the season.
Yep.
You put it on conservative, what they'll end up doing is they kind of do like a diving catch, and they just land on the ground every single time.
Like a possession catch.
Yeah, like a possession catch. Exactly right. It's exactly right. Like a possession catch. But they do it all the time. It drives you crazy.
Yep.
So I generally put these. I put the deep passing on aggressive, and I pretty much have now been leaving the intermediate ones on just balanced.
Yes, and I don't actually touch it anymore because I'd rather
it might not
just
even.
let
Right? Sometimes don't even touch it. That's right.
Because I'd rather let my players play the way they're designed to play. The ball carrier, I don't. I used to always put it on conservative carry. Now I leave it alone because they make better moves. They'll get extra yards and they're not fumbling that much. So, so the biggest thing to me is when I'm up big enough, or when the game is, I have the lead and it's in the late fourth, I'll go to conservative carry, so I don't fumble anymore. But remember that conservative carry, the ball carrier, if you leave it on balance, which is fine, and your quarterback gets sacked, he can fumble the ball. If it's on conservative, he's less likely to fumble the ball. So it affects everybody, wide receivers, tight ends, and the running backs, when they catch a ball or run with the ball. So something to think about when you're winning. You don't necessarily want to have ball carrier on balance or aggressive at the later part if you're winning.
Okay. This is just kind of showing you all the options that you can use on offense. We might come back to that. I'm not sure if we need to right now. Okay, change running back direction or blocking assignments. So here on offense.
This is all Jeff.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, so what I do is, obviously you can read what the defense is doing. So I will sometimes, slide, I will either reverse the play so I could run Pollard to the right or to the left. I could do that. IDing the mic, I don't always do that because when you do that in this game, the guy points and starts to kind of give it away that it's going to be a running play.
Yeah.
So, but in terms of blocking the pass protection, is that really what you want me to talk more about, Mike?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. What you have here is you have two tight ends that are in line and you have a running back. So if you go max protect, the two tight ends will probably then go to pass protection only. Yep. And so, you might want to do that. You might not want to do that. But basically, if you're worried about getting sacked, and this is a play that's the quarterback's under center. There are some coaches in this league that if they know you're going single back like this play is, and the quarterback's under, they're gonna blitz. Yep. Because the quarterback has to do at least a 3-step drop. Some of these are 5 or 7-step drops. Yep. You'll never get there. Okay, you'll get sacked like every single time. So what you want to do if you want to do pass protection is take Pollard, and I would maybe make him into a pass protector. Or at least one of the tight ends, and make him into a pass protector, depending on the down and distance, to try to stop the blitzes from getting home and sacking your quarterback, especially if you're going under center. Okay. Sliding right and left, I haven't really messed around with that too much. There is some ways it does affect.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, it does affect the pass blocking A and I.
Yeah.
So
my situation would be not in the. I wouldn't pass out of this formation unless it was first
down.
Either.
Okay.
If this was first or second down, I could pass out of it. But on third down or when like 2nd and 12, I would never be passing out of this. Right. Because it's just in this version, it's just too easy to get sacked.
Right.
So I'd line up in shotgun, have a halfback with me. And then so say the halfback Pollard was on the right behind the right guard. Right, and the quarterback was 5-7 yards deep. I would always, so I'd hot block Pollard, and I would shift my defense to the left. My pass protections, I'd slide left. Reason being is if you end up looking at the artwork, the Pollard picks up anybody on the wide outside from the right, and then the other guys all go run out and catch the other side. So it kind of does a really good job for you. picking up
backside,
stuff.
backside. Basically,
Yeah.
the way I would describe it is backside pass protection.
So
Yeah,
are you,
and
what if you're not
ahead.
sure about which side they're blitzing from? Would you shift? Let's say you've got a tight end on the right. Would you shift to the left, like we have here? In
Oh, okay. So
there's
say this
one
was
on
no
each side
tight
here.
end.
Right.
There was no tight end. I mean, Pollard wasn't in the play. He was out on the flats or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And Ferguson was out on the flats too. So it was just Shoemaker and the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely shade the opposite direction where Shoemaker is.
Okay, sure.
So I'm
So
always
you
going
shift to
at
the right.
Yeah, so I'd shift to the. I'd always
Okay.
go the opposite side where I have the extra.
Weak
guy.
side. In other words, your weak side you want to protect
Yes.
more and shift
Yeah,
that way.
that's a better way of wording it. Yeah, the weak
Yeah.
side.
Yeah,
It's
weak
weak
side.
side pass protection.
Okay.
Correct.
Go ahead.
Okay.
No,
Well,
I was
I
going to
mean-
ask one thing about this double team.
Okay.
Is it worth using?
Yes, but only against certain players. And a lot of this has to do with matchups. Now, I don't do a lot of this, but I'm learning to do more of it because sometimes you just don't have enough time. But, if you're going up against, say, like a Chris Jones from Kansas City or an Aaron Donald from the Rams, all right, if you're going to just have your lone left guard or left tackle, wherever this guy is coming from, be the lone blocker on him, and that guy that's blocking him is, I don't know, 74 left tackle or something, there's a good chance that, this is going to be the game that Aaron Donald could end up getting 3 or 4 sacks.
Now, let me ask you this, though. Now, because I've worked with this a little bit, but I've not learned if you can change who you're double teaming. Can you?
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Once you bring
Press
up the
down
double,
and then the button comes up and you keep pressing until you get the guy you want.
press
Right.
down.
Yeah, the right or left stick. So when you do the right stick
Yep.
and you go double team,
Yep.
it'll bring up a highlight on their defensive
In
line.
red.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Right, and then you
Yeah.
just move the highlight to where you want. And then you.
And
just
how do you
press
move that highlight to where you want it?
Left stick, right?
Oh.
Move it
Yeah,
left
just
or
with the
right.
sticks.
Okay,
Yeah.
left
Yeah.
stick, left or right moves that highlighted player for the double team.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
And then
and
you
if you
hit
don't
your
know
right.
what you're doing, this is my recommendation. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do that.
Right,
Because
right.
it can really screw up the pass blocking
Yes.
if you guess wrong.
Yes.
And same thing with ID the mic. If you don't know what you're doing, don't touch it. Don't
Yeah, I
think
would mess
about
up.
it.
Yeah, I would agree with Mike on this. So that's one of those things where if you're really losing by a lot of points or winning by a lot of points and you want to mess around with it, and then if you're broadcasting, which I do a lot of this, by the way, a lot of people don't broadcast, but I broadcast my games, and Mike knows I do this. I go back and I literally grade out my team every game I play, and the reason why is I want to see how exactly what Mike was saying. I want to see how my guys are blocking against certain types of defenses with the plays that I'm calling. And so, you want to be aware of how that, because if you double team, obviously somebody is blocking a guy that they probably normally would not be blocking,
Right.
which leaves something else open. That's where the game always is. You can stop one thing, but you're going to start leaving something else open. So you got to be careful with it,
Right.
to say the least.
Now, here, as you see, you can also use this, even though this is a run play, you can bring up this pass protection screen.
Yeah, but it won't work on a run.
Okay, so what if you
Right.
double team with the run?
It doesn't
Can't
do
double
anything.
team in the running play.
Okay,
It
gotcha.
just as it says on the screen there, it says pass protection.
Yeah, I
not
see that.
Run protection.
Okay, just
Yeah.
making sure.
And- Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of guys still believe that if you double team in a run, that it works. It does not. It'll
No,
be
I've tried it. I've never noticed any difference.
And there's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, next screen up. This is just showing the routes,
No.
that you're running, and some of them are labeled a little differently because these go and fades and stuff like that, flies and goes. They're kind of all the same.
Right.
But this is tight end routes that's available. Now the next screen, you're going to notice that running back hot routes.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's if they're in the backfield. See, these
Yeah.
things are all conditional
where they
based
are.
on where the guy is lined up. Like, go back to the tight end one screen.
Right.
So the tight end screen on the right stick, it has block, release, flat, and block, release, cross.
Mhm.
Right.
So if you pick those, they have to be on. That option is only going to come up if they're what's it called when you're tied to the offensive line?
Yeah,
You
that's
know-
exactly what you just said. They're
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
line.
So if the
They're in
guy is
line.
on the offensive line covering up the offensive right tackle or left tackle,
Yeah.
those options come up. If he's out in the flats, that doesn't come
Then
up. It comes up the wide receiver
Right,
options.
wide receiver options, and
Yeah.
and the same when we go to running back routes, you're going to see they have their own unique routes too
Yes.
that
Right,
they
yeah.
run. They've got the wheel, the swings, and the check and release. So
Yep.
these are kind of kind of self-explanatory. I did not do up any drawings of this here, but wide receiver.
Smart, you have the smart route thing you have back there. So you asked.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that smart route.
Okay. Well, generally, what happens with this, what I see, Mike, is right. It usually ends up being probably like a smoke, for the most part.
The smart route, no. What the smart route does for wide receivers, halfbacks,
First down
is if
yardage.
they have an option, they're going to run to the marker, and that's where their cut will be. So if you do an out,
Okay, yeah, that's right.
It goes to 10 yards. Let's say it's third and 10. It'll go to the 10 yards from the line of scrimmage, and then he'll make his move. If it's 20 yards, he'll go 20 yards and make his move. You're going to get sacked.
Yeah, you're going to get sacked.
But that's the thing that can happen.
Now,
that's what smart route really means.
So let me ask you real quick about
right.
this. So what you would do is, if let's say you pull up Y and you're going to give them a hot route, so you give them the hot route, and then you go back and you can press smart route on that receiver.
So it's two moves if you're changing his hot route, and then it's only one move if you're just making a existing route to a smart route. Now, it's not going to, obviously a smart route isn't going to do anything to a streak or a fade.
Right.
It doesn't.
Yeah, but on
do
those
anything
but like on a bench play, like on an out route, simple out route, you might change it because a lot of times he'll only go out about 5 yards or so.
Right.
And so you might want to smart route him so he goes out deeper.
Or curl can only go,
curls.
maybe 7 yards. You can make him go 10 or 12 yards.
So,
that type of stuff.
So let's talk about smokescreen. What's that?
Smokescreen is essentially the running. It's usually a wide receiver only. The guy furthest out on the outside. What was that? The wide receiver one? Is that what they usually call?
One.
The number one wide receiver.
Yeah.
He will stop, stand there, and like a screen, he'll just sit there and wait for you to throw to him. He won't move at all.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of good if the guy's playing a deep zone and you want to get some yards to maybe go for it on third.
Right.
But realistically, for whatever reason, Madden's logic screws it up, and he basically runs into somebody and says, "Tackle me." So
it's not super effective.
It's not super effective.
Turns them into instant idiot.
Yes, it
instant
does.
idiot.
Okay. Tight end hot routes again. Talking. We've already covered this, so depends on where he's lined up.
Yeah, there is something that's in this version that we have never seen before. That I'll bring up here. The block and release thing, and there's a lot of plays that have with the tight ends in blue.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this. Now, what happens is it really will have no effect at all if the guy's playing zone. But if the guy's playing some type of man, and say it's that deep safety that's covering him, what happens is the deep safety will, if the tight end stays in to block at first before he releases usually into the flat, or I don't even know if I have enough time to do a cross, but he might release and go into the flat. The
like
safety,
a chip.
like a chip. The safety will read as if he's staying in to block, and because of that, the safety doesn't come up to pick him up. He'll stay back and play defense. And so sometimes you can run these plays, just giving people a trick here, where that tight end can do like a block and release to the flat. If he's playing man to man, you can kind of get an easy, 3, 4, 5 yard pickup.
Yep. But it works as often as it doesn't work.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm just saying, you gotta be a little careful with it. Yes.
Yeah. But if you need, it's good for what it's really good for, though, is if you need a little extra protection. And you want to leave guy in, and he'll block till he'll slow the guy down enough that
he will chip him,
and you'll get enough that would stop if you have quick routes. But it's not going to save you if you have a deep route.
Right, gotcha. Okay,
right.
Next here we've just got hot routes for the wide receivers. If you want to talk about anything here, it's just showing a description of what they look like.
Yep, that's it. Straight up, pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
Yeah. Okay, so wide receiver hot routes. This is the right stick. Same thing here, but I think the other one here, this doesn't exist. Does not exist for us. Ignore this because this is for joystick jockeys. Don't use it, Ethel.
Doesn't come up.
Yeah. Kickoff meter. We're back to 1. We've run through everything here. So what else would you guys like to add to help these guys who need a little help?
I would say my biggest suggestion is don't how did you say it? Win first down.
Right.
And you can win first down by getting 2 yards. You can't continuously put yourself into second and longs and third and longs the defense on this version is too good in a default because you can just blitz. And even if, like, okay, so how do you beat a blitz? Well, you beat a blitz with a drag and a slant, right? Because if the guy goes man to man, they'll beat him. But you can stop them enough that if the pass is completed, you get 7 yards. But if it's 3rd and 20, who cares?
Right.
No chance.
You know, so you're not going to get that. So
a lot of the quick passes are going to beat blitz.
yeah, but they're
Not
not
like-
going to beat them big.
Right.
And sometimes they don't beat them at all because if your quarterback gets pressured quickly or
Yep.
you know, his logic is bad, he'll throw it into the ground, kind of like what they used to do
Yeah.
in Madden 08.
Well, and also there's the
back
people that have
memories.
been if you mess around with this enough, what you kind of know, right? Like you're not just going to let somebody just throw slants on you and beat you.
Right.
I mean, I'm not. Okay.
No.
So,
No,
so I know that if I'm playing somebody, the guy goes, well, you
cover the inside.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going to do some stuff that maybe can take some of that away. Like Mike said, you might let it go a couple times because I know the slant play is probably not going to go for a touchdown.
Right.
But then, if I need a play somewhere along the road, you have a defense that looks a lot like what you've been playing. The guy calls a slant, and you get your stop.
Yep.
So
The idea is to win first down on offense. Get yourself 2, 3, 4 yards. If you get more than that, you really won, and now you can mess around. But the problem is see, my biggest, the way I always end up having my biggest fear is you get a decent gain, it's 2nd and 4, and I'm like, oh, I can take a shot now, and then I get sacked, and it's 3rd
And then your
12.
crowd's booing you.
Yeah, and it's 3rd and 12, and I'm back in the same spot again, and I need a miracle play to get it done. Not that they don't happen, but it doesn't happen often, and that's the way I look at it. I mean, I'm no expert at this. We're all learning this game, and other people can figure stuff out just as quickly. So but that's the way I've always played Madden. Try not to get behind the sticks too far, just like in real football. Right. So start off with an RPO, see what you get out of it, come back with a nice underpass. And then now you're 3rd and short, and you got options. And if you want to take a shot, you take a shot.
Which one of those RPOs are you guys' favorites? So you don't have to tell me your favorite play. Just tell me the types that might work best for people.
I think a lot of the Omahas work pretty well. The problem with some of them is if they don't rush a lot of people, you get legal man downfield still.
Yeah, watch that. That's under the. I don't even use much of them. I've got a bad one or two.
I think that's a read.
Yeah,
right?
I forget there's another word in there too, and I've got one or two.
It's like a read flat. It's like a read.
Read flat.
Yeah,
I think it's a flat, and I've got plenty of those in there, but I can't remember which one's bad. So I've stopped using them because half the time it's an illegal man downfield.
Right, and then it backs you up 5 yards, and you lost first down anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
And my other biggest thing to point out, take the goddamn points.
Right.
If you're inside and you're inside the 10, take the chip field goal, take the points on 4th and 6 or something like. If it's 4th and 1, okay, you want to go for it. But you generally win by getting points. If you're far behind by like 3 touchdowns, okay, I get it. You got to go for the 7. But if you're in a close game, take the 3 points so every drive is successful. And I know we don't all believe in it, but I think there is a momentum button underneath this game running. And if you keep the momentum going for you and then one of the ways to do it is to keep always taking points.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing about that though is that just to add on to what Mike was saying, is the fact that you get a first down doesn't guarantee you're going to still come out of this with any points.
Right.
You just got a first down.
Right.
It's like, oh, I got the first. Yeah, you got the first down, but now you have no points, and you haven't got a touchdown yet.
And it gets tough.
So,
it gets tough when you get down there.
Yes.
How many times did you throw an interception in the end zone?
Yes.
Yeah.
So unless it's I don't know. I mean, I know guys look at games and they get a certain feeling in the game, and I'll see guys do it all the time. Whether I'm going for it,
Right.
and it might be like 4th and 5 or something like that, and that's I mean, okay, but that's I would say 4th and 5 is, what would you say, Mike, is maybe a 50-50, maybe?
Yeah, if that.
If that. I mean, I don't know what the percentage is, but if you look at it, I can tell you right now, go ahead and look at the league, at what the league leader in this in in the PFL for converting on third down, not fourth down, but on third down, is like 51%.
Yeah.
The rest of the league is converting at less than that on third downs. So, like what Mike was saying, is the real key to the game, in my opinion, is you got to try to win first down, and because you don't really want to get into consistently third downs. And if you're gonna and if you just take the numbers and extrapolate it, I mean, you don't want to get into a lot of fourth downs and going for it either.
Yeah.
Right.
The main thing, you don't have to invest hours and hours. And I'm guilty
Concepts.
of I'm guilty of not doing that either. But if you sit down in the evening and just find one play,
Right.
just find one play that's being successful for you across different defenses or offenses or whatever.
Well, the other thing, I'm glad you brought that up too, Len, because one of the things you can do, and actually it's the way I kind of started, to be honest with you, and it's still a system that you can use, is if you look at personnel and say you're going to run 13s or 12s, whatever, okay, maybe have like, say, 3 or 4, I'm just making this number up, say 12 packages, because then what you can do is, if you really set it up correctly, in your audibles, you can have, like, say, where you can get into a game, and then if you're judging the defense, you can quickly audible to a same personnel but a different kind of like a different formation,
Yeah.
and give you 4 more plays, and you can do it pretty quickly. When you have a whole bunch of plays, okay, you can forget about audibling most of the time, because there's just too many plays to scroll
Yeah, you
through.
stay inside the formation when you audible.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I set up my audibles. My audibles. I have a slants play,
Right.
or a sticks play. Then I have a run up the gut, and then I leave 2 plays that, like, I try to put my play why I have this formation play
Right.
in one of those 2, and then I have one that I think is a safe, like, in versions past, I would put like a halfback slip screen or a jet sweep.
Right.
Something where I'm like, all right, I'll get a couple yards,
Yeah.
a safe play to call, that type of thing. When I don't like what I'm seeing, because the worst is to come out in a run in an I form, big, and the guy's in a 4-4,
Yeah,
and he's got everybody stacked in. You're like,
I
this
can't
isn't
get out
gonna
of
work.
it.
But I would destroy him if I could slant. So
How's play actions in this game?
play actions are all right, but I don't see they really haven't mattered in since Madden 08. To be quite honest with you, the way they mattered in Madden 08. I mean, they have somewhat in this version. I am not far enough down the tree of learning to know if they're doing what they used to do in Madden 22, but I can tell you what they did in Madden 22. They were more of a timing thing where I didn't want the guy to look at a guy until a couple seconds after he'd run his route. So let's say he's doing a fade. I didn't want my quarterback to look at the fade right away because he'd throw it right away. And so what would end up happening was you'd have a jump ball at 10 yards down the field. If he had a play action, now he'd let the guy go 15, 20 yards and then throw the ball deep. And so that's why I use play action. Now, in this version, I don't know if that holds up because I haven't been really experimenting with that, that type of thing.
Yeah, these
No,
long
the play
passes,
actions.
sacks.
Well, the play actions. Well, the play actions will work if you, again, it depends on the defense you're going up against in the situation. But I hate people that run play actions. Okay, so I work really hard at just kicking the crap out of that. I just hate that because a lot of guys use a play action, like what Mike just said. He's really using it as a timing device so he can get his guy downfield. It's usually an effective play for giving you time to get guys to either get downfield or to do crossing patterns.
Right.
And I just hate people being able to do that. Yeah. So, but the play actions will work if you don't defend against them properly. So, I will say this, that I will run play action plays a lot of times, but then still set the running back on up just to block.
Yeah.
And so the quarterback does this kind of funky little thing, but
he does a head bob.
He does a little head bob thing, but I get the blocking because if you do the play action, it looks like he's going to give you the blocking that you want, but he actually doesn't.
Right.
So it's not as effective in terms of stopping the blitz. Let's just say.
And my third and final suggestion to the new guys coming in the league, other than stay with it because it's really enjoyable once you get past this beginning learning curve, right, Jeff?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Is my recommendation, other than what I said before, is watch tape of the guys that are good. And it's simple to, or the guys that have good offenses, because you win games with offense. At least you have fun playing with offense.
Yeah.
You can win games with defense, but
hard.
It's harder, and there's a lot more randomness to it. So, like, for instance, Washington right now has Sam Howell as the leading passer in the league. So, hey, why don't you, he broadcasts his game. So go check out his plays, see what plays. He's got to have a group. As humans, we all fall into patterns.
Right.
And we all call plays in a certain way and a certain grouping and a certain type. It always happens. So you go out and check his plays. Same thing with San Fran. Same thing with Matthew Stafford, my quarterback. Check out what I do. I broadcast every play. I have my controller overlay on the screen on my broadcast, so you can see what I did, how I changed things, what I did. Slow it down. Take a look. Because like I said, your ratings of the players matter, but the plays matter more until you know what you're doing. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I could probably, it's going to sound arrogant, sorry, but I can probably beat a new newbie with a 50 overall rated team, because my plays will be 10 times better than they're playing. And so, yes, they can get lucky and win, but I would win, say, 7 out of 10 times.
Oh, yeah.
But once you get to the point where it's like-minded coaches or like skilled coaches, I'll say, then the plays matter a little, then the ratings matter, and all these things come into play. Right. Just something that the plays are at the point of when you're beginning, the plays are more important than your ratings. Right. It really helps you set up stuff. It takes time, but like Jeff was saying and like Lenny was saying, don't go make yourself a playbook of 500 plays. Start off slow. I think there's a playbook out there that has the minimum number of plays in it, and like it'll have 10 plays in it, and then you just add plays that you like, that you see that other people are running. You kind of all know for a shortcut that I-form is not really great at passing, but it's pretty good at running. Same thing with strong. So if you really want to pass the ball, you're going to be out of pistol or shotgun, and I'm not saying you can't pass out of those, but it generally it's too easy to stop.
Right, it's tougher. Yeah. The other thing I did, just so I know the guys maybe will be listening to this, but Len was the guy who got me into Madden, playing in this league and playing Madden football, and I have told Mike this, because I don't know if people might kind of hit me in the side there, but I mean, I almost quit because I could not pick this game up. At least I thought I couldn't. And I was really getting hammered every single game. I couldn't play defense. I didn't know half the things that were going on. And, the final scores were 43-3, and the guy had 275 yards rushing. And I really was getting ready to quit. But that's not really in my nature. So I really worked my tail off, quite frankly, to at least make myself a decent coach. And so I'm competitive now, whereas when I first started, it was very frustrating. So all I can tell people out there is, stay with it. The game will come to you, but it can be frustrating at first. But if you stay with it, you do get better at it.
So I've got one last comment before we stop the recording here. And Jeff, we can't let him win again, because the next time he wins, he's going to be claiming that he can beat the newbies with a 30 overall team.
Without question.
All right, that's it. Hope this helps some of you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.